We begin today's wrestling news and rumors video with a huge bit of news regarding a return that is scheduled to happen on this coming week's edition of Monday Night Raw following Money in the Bank 2021. As many of you are likely aware, we had reported in one of our previous videos that the Beast Incarnate Brock Lesnar's WWE return was seemingly postponed until after SummerSlam 2021, and the WWE were basically looking for a big and noteworthy replacement opponent for Bobby Lashley and his WWE Championship at SummerSlam 2021. And one of the names that was being discussed behind the scenes in WWE was none other than Bill Goldberg. At the time, while some fans were open to the idea of Goldberg coming back to WWE and having a bit of a short-term feud with Bobby Lashley, a lot of fans were simply not too pleased with the idea of the aging Goldberg once again returning for another WWE Championship feud. But regardless, it looks like the rumors are in fact true, and Vince McMahon is now planning to move ahead with Goldberg vs Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship at SummerSlam 2021. For those of you unaware, the WWE are planning for the former Universal Champion Goldberg to return to WWE on this coming week's edition of Raw following Money in the Bank, with the plan here being very similar to Goldberg's return back in early 2021, when Goldberg returned to set his sights on Drew McIntyre's WWE Championship. Because apparently WWE planned for Goldberg to come back on Monday Night Raw and challenge Bobby Lashley to a WWE title match at SummerSlam 2021 immediately, which at the same time basically confirms that Bobby Lashley will be retaining his WWE Championship against Kofi Kingston at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view event this weekend. Much like tonight's edition of SmackDown, Raw next week will be the first Raw show with live fans back in attendance. And apparently Vince is under the belief that having Goldberg return will help add some much needed buzz and interest in the Raw brand as we get closer to SummerSlam, and that Goldberg is the best option or choice the WWE have right now to be a viable and worthy contender for Bobby Lashley's WWE Championship. Like we had mentioned before, while some fans are not against the idea of a legend like Goldberg coming back for another big feud in WWE, the real concern that a lot of fans have expressed when these rumors started to go around about Goldberg returning is that WWE could very well book a similar scenario to when Goldberg challenged The Fiend Bray Wyatt for the Universal Championship at the 2021 Super Showdown pay-per-view event, because there is a legitimate chance that WWE would book Goldberg to put an end to Bobby Lashley's WWE Championship run, which is what a lot of fans are concerned with most feeling like Goldberg should not be having another world title run at this point in his career, especially when he is derailing the momentum of a full-time superstar such as Bobby Lashley. With that said, Bobby Lashley versus a returning Goldberg at SummerSlam very much seems like the plan as of right now, and fans can expect to see Goldberg make his return on Raw this coming week in front of live fans. As we had mentioned, Goldberg is not going anywhere anytime soon, as Bill is signed with WWE until 2022, and it looks like it is very possible that Goldberg could be having another world title reign in the near future, and succeed this time in winning the championship from Bobby Lashley, after Goldberg had failed to do so earlier this year when he challenged for Drew McIntyre's WWE Championship. Now let us know your thoughts on Goldberg's scheduled return on Monday Night Raw this coming week, and more so, are you happy that WWE are moving in the direction of Goldberg versus Bobby Lashley for the WWE title at SummerSlam 2021? Or is it a mistake that Vince McMahon and WWE are once again pushing an aging legend like Goldberg in the main event title scene, when there are lots of full-time superstars that would benefit more from that spotlight? Not to mention that WWE in general would benefit from full-time stars challenging for the top belts, as legends like Goldberg will not be around forever, and it really should be WWE's top priority to be building up some newer stars, instead of continuing to rely on legends to draw big ratings. We now have a huge update on Bayley's career in WWE. As most of you are well aware by now, Bayley had suffered a serious injury just over a week ago during training, which essentially put a halt to the plans of Bayley facing off against Bianca Belair at Money in the Bank 2021 in their scheduled I Quit match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And at the time of the news, it was stated that Bayley was going to be out of action from WWE for at least 9 months to recover and heal up. However, there was some concern that a big injury like this could be the beginning of the end of Bayley's career in WWE as an in-ring superstar, and that the former SmackDown Women's Champion could have been contemplating retirement, as Bayley's not exactly young for the division at 32 years of age. However, it was revealed earlier today that Bayley has successfully underwent surgery for her ACL tear, and she will now be on the slow road to recovery. Although new backstage reports indicate that Bayley is far from considering retirement and will be returning at all costs, and for a very sad but worthwhile reason. It was recently stated by one of our sources that once Bayley is cleared to wrestle again, after at least 9 months next year, it will have been well over 2 years that Bayley had wrestled in front of a live crowd or audience, with Bayley not wrestling on either days of WrestleMania 37, which had a smaller yet live crowd this year, and the last time Bayley had wrestled in front of fans was sadly March 6, 2020, where Bayley teamed up with Sasha Banks to face off against Naomi and Lacey Evans on an episode of SmackDown. Now when Bayley hopefully recovers and gets cleared to return to action next year in 2022, Bayley will finally be able to wrestle in front of fans for the first time in over 2 years, and Bayley has made it clear that this is very important to her, and she will do everything in her power to heal up and make a comeback when fans are able to attend events. Tonight's edition of Friday Night SmackDown was a truly special show for a few reasons, but the biggest reason was unquestionably the return of fans and that live crowd, an underrated aspect of WWE that has truly been lacking for so long. Vince McMahon had returned and opened up SmackDown to welcome back the fans in a way only Vince could, and it was certainly exhilarating to hear the roar of the fans. And by all means, this week's SmackDown in Houston, Texas was absolutely filled up to the brim, something that the WWE was struggling with before the WWE went to the Thunderdome, as there were often events that had very limited fans in attendance, and parts of the arena were simply blocked off. But that was by no means the case today, and the fans were thunderous tonight on the blue brand. And it's undoubtedly amazing to see them back, and hopefully WWE start to put in a bit more effort with their shows Raw and SmackDown now that they have crowds to keep entertained. While some big moments on SmackDown tonight included Edge sending a message to Roman Reigns ahead of Money in the Bank 2021 that he's coming for that Universal Championship, and Bianca Belair retaining her SmackDown Women's Championship against Carmella, the biggest talking point coming out of tonight's special SmackDown show with the live fans was the return of the former Universal Champion Finn Balor, who has officially moved up from NXT to the main roster on SmackDown, something that had been rumored for several weeks now. Finn Balor returned to interrupt Sami Zayn's promo, and without saying much, Finn laid out Sami Zayn, much to the delight of fans, who are very happy to see Finn Balor back on SmackDown. Now, according to a new backstage rumor, the real reason why WWE decided to move Finn Balor up from NXT to SmackDown tonight was because Triple H and Vince McMahon had already agreed that Finn Balor had nothing really left to do in NXT, and that the fan favorite superstar was the perfect choice to have come back tonight on the first SmackDown show with fans, to add some excitement for the road to SummerSlam, and WWE reportedly have some major plans for Finn Balor on SmackDown in the coming months.